Hello again, Big Pete here. I am here at 850 Armor Works again, working on the Adult Death Trooper. In this video, we're going to be going over our calf ankle section armor. You're going to have 4 pieces, obviously, since you have 2 go for each leg. You are also going to have in the kit 2 of these. These are the pieces that basically go around the bottom portion of the calf, and I will show you how that all gets cut out. You're not going to leave any return edges on this. You want to take off as much return edging off here as you can. So you can cut from the inside. It's really easy to see the lines you want to cut from, which is basically right. Let's see if I can get right here, right along here, and then all the way up, all the way around. Cut all those off, no return edges at all on these 2, and you'll see why when I start assembling these. For the calves, we're going to do the scoring and snapping method. We're going to take our straight edge, and then we're going to basically clamp our straight edge onto it, leaving as much as possible of what's already there, and then cutting it. That's going to give us a nice straight cut. And then bending it off. Since we're not using any cover strips, the cover strips are already built into the armor. We want a nice straight line. We're going to leave it a really small return edge along the top portion of the calves, and we're going to completely cut off any return edging here off the bottom. You don't want any of that snagging room. We're gonna do that on all 4 of these pieces, all the return edging off of these pieces, and then I will show you how it all assembles. All right, so I went ahead and trimmed this one out. As I was trimming this out, I said, hey, do the score and snap method. That'll work perfect for the back portion, but for the front portion, actually, what I ended up doing is there is a line right here. You'll see right there. But if you were to cut it from the inside of it, there's almost a perfect cut line. So you can take your razor blade and basically towards the outside of the line, you're just going to score right along that side, and then you can snap it, and it almost gives you an exactly perfect line right here. So we can get a better angle on that so you can kind of see. And I just had to run some sandpaper over it just to even it out a little bit, and it worked really, really well. I went ahead and took all of the return edges off the bottom portion, and the top portion I left a very, very small return edge. You can take that off if you want to, but this will make it a little more rigid. But you also have to consider you want to save your soft goods some wear and tear, so the bigger return edge, the more it's going to kind of nag onto your soft armor. I went ahead and got our back cover right here trimmed out, 0 return edges. All I do is I just from the inside score it, snap it off, a little bit of sandpaper, and it's good to go. Now what you're going to notice on these is that you have this little thing right here, right? That's just to kind of show you where it should meet up with. It's going to go on the, these things go on the one with the cover strip on the back. So if you look at the back, you'll see this raised part right here. It's the same thing. So if I was to slide it under, it kind of shows you where it needs to line up, right? But you'll end up having, if you were to perfectly line it up right here, you see how it has a big, maybe 1/8 of an inch right here or so. So we don't want that. We want it to be seamless almost, just kind of like, about like that, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut from right about here down, just so we can snag it over onto this portion and make it look like that. Just about. And it should just kind of round, just round the corner right there, and just almost like whoop, right up into the edge right here. So we're gonna cut this down real quick, and then I'll show you next. All right, so I got the other leg just to kind of show you guys. I just did some really rough cutting just to get rid of some of the stuff so I can show you better, but this is pretty much how it's going to come, minus the very, very rough cut that I just did. So what I'm talking about is when you look at it straight on, you're going to see that there's a line right here and a line right here, and then it kind of drops off. That's the drop off obviously is not part of the armor. So if you look at it from the inside, let's see if I can get a good view of it, you'll see right here, yep, perfect, right there, it kind of tapers off. It's going to go from, you can see like a little bit of a rough spot right here, and then it smooths off to where it's not armor anymore. If you take this and trace down that outside line, you're going to have a pretty awesome start to what we're doing. So let me tilt the camera down and I'll just do it on video real quick, just to show you guys how simple this is. I don't know if I can get a good angle of it. Anyway. And just take your time with it. It's not a race. But it's a pretty perfect starting line for you to go with. Right there. Can you hand me the tin snips real quick? And then I'm going to go ahead and just snip off a little bit right here so I can score and snap it. Same thing on the other side. Now that I got that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it along that line I just made. And almost all of it worked. There we go, right there. Bam, that's almost perfect. You can take a little bit of sandpaper to this and touch it up, but you want that little, I mean, you don't need it, but that little lip looks really nice. So I'd leave it like that, just, you know, flatten it out a little bit, and that'll be absolutely perfect. You can do the same thing to the other side. There's just not as pretty of a line. You can still see it, and it works. That's what I did. I just cut from the inside, but this is going to take a little bit more finesse work with a sanding or trimming of some sort. When I go through and do the bottom portion of the calf, I'm going to go through and I just take it from the inside again, just like I did that one. From the inside portion, I'm just going to score along the line because I don't want any return edges on the bottom portion at least. Just go through here. There we go. Same thing going around, being careful as I go. And then getting a couple of relief lines in here because spraying and snapping doesn't work around corners. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to snap each bit off. You can see how quick that was, right? Really, really quick. I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper right in here just to get off any little remnants of an edge. I don't want that snagging on my shoe. I'm going to go ahead and do the same method I had right here to the inside. Now this is the back portion of the calf, where the cover strip is. In the back, obviously. Bam. There we go. That's a pretty good start. That might even work just like that. It's super straight. Works just fine. The top portion on it is going to be just a little bit harder, but you can make it easy on yourself with some tin snips or the curved scissors that I still need to go pick up, but I haven't been to the craft store recently. So I'm going to do it with tin snips. So I'll have to go back with some sandpaper or something smaller, or just the razor blade and fix it up. But this is how I'm going to do this. I'm just gonna, and this is a really easy way to give yourself that itty bitty return edge without slipping on a razor blade. And if you don't have a belt sander to curve out these edges easier, this works. It's super easy. There we go. Look, we got a nice little return edge. I might take a little bit of sanding to it because it's going to be a little jagged in here from the cutting. And then right here, I'm gonna have to whittle that out with a razor. So what I'd do is I just kind of come in here and I'll just whittle it really small bits, taking my time with it, and I'll come in here and I'll just whittle that away until I got it to where I want it. If you want, you can take your Dremel and sand that portion out. You can do a scoring and snapping if you want from the top. However you feel comfortable doing it. Just obviously take your time. You don't want to, scrape the top portion of your armor. It'll look a little silly. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the legs, and then I'll show you how it all assembles. All right, so I got everything trimmed out, cut out, sanded down exactly pretty much how I want it. Just like that. Got some return edges on the top. Nice and straight line right here. No return edges. Nice and straight line here. This is the cover strip area. When these go together, this one is going to go on top of this one, because you'll see that the one that goes on top has these nice little grooves right here going down. So that'll go on top of here. Just like that. And if you have it nice and straight, it'll look real nice. Real nice. Alright, so we got that, but what we have to do before we clamp these things together is we have to add this little guy to it. So I went ahead and cut it down so that it'll fit on. Cut off I don't even have the chunk anymore, but I cut off the piece that I showed you in the last little part. And this is going to go on the ones that has the cover strip on the back. Here's the front, right? It has the nice pretty line. Here's the back portion. Okay? These are always going to go on the cover strip one on both the left and the right cap. You want to just line up the bottom portion right here, and then make sure that it looks like it's just gradually going up into it. So it's obviously not seamless, but you want it to have a nice little transition into here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on before I go anywhere else, and make sure everything fits before you glue it, because once you glue it, you ain't getting it back. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and glue it. Got our accelerator ready. Line up the bottom, line up the top. Hit it with some accelerator. Glue your fingers to it. Don't do that. If you do get glue on your fingers, don't touch your armor immediately, because that glue will stick onto the armor on the front portion, and it'll look terrible. And there we go. That is on there. Now, you can do this next part after you assemble the whole thing. I would advise doing it before, though, because it's going to be a lot easier. We're going to go ahead and put the Velcro on our caps. So right here I just got some of the industrial strength 1-inch Velcro, soft side, hard side, and we're just going to lay a strip on both sections. I'm going to put the soft side on the part that I have the cover on right here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out how much I need, cut it off, and I'm going to super glue mine on. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I find that it holds a whole lot better when you do. Now I've seen some people, they don't like to Velcro all the way down. You don't have to. If you just want to put a little piece at the top and a little piece in the middle and a little piece in the bottom just to make it easier to get on and off, that's your prerogative. You can do that. I've done that on different people's armor, and it works out fine for them. I'm going to go ahead and lay a whole strip on it. So. And the reason I say to do this before you go ahead and clamshell these guys together is because once it's together, it's just so much harder, especially if you're super gluing it. It's going to be a lot harder to, you have to stick your hand into this closed thing, try not to get super glue on everything, and you'll just have a much better time if you do this portion before before you put everything together. It'll just be a lot easier. So, and it only takes a couple seconds to do. Okay, got my glue on. And you want it kind of just right at the edge. And take it slow because you don't want glue everywhere. Okay, it's on. I'm gonna zap it with some accelerator. And then do the hard portion on the other side. Make sure I'm doing it. So it's gonna go on the outside. The soft stuff I put on the inside. Now this is the side you don't really want any running on, because if you get any runs going the wrong direction, it's going to spill over on the armor and you're going to see it, and you don't want that. So be extra careful when doing this part of the armor since we're working on the outside. I'm just kind of smearing the glue around so I don't get it on everywhere, and I'm going to take just a little bit of it off because I don't want it spilling. So now very carefully, probably works better if I prop this guy up, so I'm just going to prop it into something I have handy right now, and it's not going to work. We'll sit to do this. Sorry I won't be able to get this on video, but I don't want to mess it up either, so... And I'm putting it right on the edge. Once I have it, oh, see, I got some glue on me. I'm holding it the other way so that any runs will run off the armor rather than onto the armor. Once I have it kind of positioned where I want it, I'm just going to push that all into place with the stuff setting. And I've got glue all over my hands, so be careful not to touch your armor if you have glue all over your hands like I do. There we go. Alright, so now that I got those all glued in, I'm going to give that just a minute to fully dry. I just really don't want to get any runs on the armor, and since I got a little bit on my hands, it means it's running down a little bit. So I'm just going to give this stuff just a minute to fully set up, and we should be good. Alright, so next step is to basically glue the front onto the back, leaving that one portion exposed. So, yep, looking good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I'm going to put glue on the underside of this. You can put it on the other side if you want to. Just make sure you're clamshelling the right ones together. You don't want the top on the bottom, the bottom on the top. It's also best not to do this over the piece of armor you're working on, because you don't want any spills. And very carefully, we're going to line this up. best we can. And put it down. Okay. There we go. It is nice and together, and you'll be able to get into it from the back. And let it fully set before you start trying to bend it. The little sound was the rest of it snapping just a little bit. It'll be all right once it fully dries, though. And if you got a little bit of a weird overhang right here, that's fine. We're probably going to trim this down anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one, and then I will show you what everything looks like from there. All right, so I got both of these all assembled, Velcroed. Both side flaps are on them. Looks real good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I got a little bit of glue right there on the front. I'm not too happy about it, but it's not that noticeable. Remember, you're going to be the one noticing most of the little flaws in this. Nobody else is ever going to see those. And you can weather it just a little bit if you want to kind of give it, to make it less noticeable if you end up doing that. So I got these. Now these shins are made for a full-size Death Trooper. The Death Troopers, I think, were about 6'4", right? So they're fairly long. If you need to take some off of these guys because you're not that tall when you're fitting it, you can take it up here and just kind of round it out a little bit. Because this will go over your shoe. So in the front portion, if you need some more room for it to go down further, trim it off the front here. If you need to go around, make sure you don't remove this detail. You could probably only take, you know, if you're going to go around, you know, make it taper off right around here, and this portion's going to go beside your boot. So you have quite a bit of room between the edge here and your boot. Just make sure you don't go too close to this. So when I do my final fitting, I'm going to go ahead and basically sand or cut probably a good inch or so off of here, just so it goes down another inch. But make sure anytime you're doing fitting to make sure you have your undersuit on and your boots and everything else, because if you trim these to fit your unclothed leg, arms, torso, whatever, and you put on one of these big undersuits and it doesn't fit, there's not a whole lot of fixing it, especially if you used super glue. So make sure anytime you're doing fitting, put on whatever gear goes under that first before you start doing that. So, all right, last little part of the calves that I forgot to do earlier is you're going to have some greeblies that go with it. All I did was I touched these up on the on a sander, evened them out to same shape and dimensions, and I painted them black. I left the back sides exposed to the resin because I wanted to stick onto the plastic. So now that I have these cut out, they're going to go onto the maybe your left shin, the one without the little detail here on the side. You can also tell these portions go towards the inside of your leg, so it's going to look like that. But it's going to go on the one without these details on it. And all we're going to do is we're just going to position these about right there. It's about an inch down or so from the side edge, and then kind of center on between this line right here and the front portion. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on, and then I'm going to take the other one and just kind of center it up so they look about even in their positioning from the front. I always position this side first because I can easily line it up to the line in the front, and then I just make the other one look similar. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so those are on. Just hit them with a quick spot of glue. Again, I positioned it about halfway in between here and here, and it is a little bit less than an inch down from this lip right here. So just make it look like roughly like that, and you should be good to go. So if you're not already, please give me a follow. Give the video a like if you like it. Drop some comments down below if you have any questions, concerns, think I can do anything better. Go ahead and check out 850 Armor Works. I'll put a link down below. And stay tuned for the next video. Thanks, guys.